You know that feeling, right? When you feel like your emotions just have a mind of their own. One minute you're fine, and the next, bam, you're completely swallowed up by anger, or this wave of anxiety hits you out of nowhere. I used to get stuck in these loops, replaying conversations in my head, just digging myself deeper into the exact feelings I wanted to escape. It honestly felt like I wasn't the one in the driver's seat of my own life.
I'm guessing we've all been there. That feeling of being totally hijacked by a sudden emotion. Rage, shame, you name it. And in that moment, it feels all-powerful, doesn't it? It feels like it's gonna last forever.
But what if I told you that's not actually true? What if the raw, physical power of any emotion, no matter how intense it feels, was actually designed to be incredibly short?
That's it. 90 seconds. I know, it sounds completely unbelievable. When I first heard that, I was like, no way. How can years of feeling anxious or that deep, gut-wrenching regret all fit inside a minute and a half? It just doesn't seem possible. Well, look, this isn't just some feel-good, abstract idea. It's a physiological fact. It comes from the work of Dr. Jill Bolt-Taylor, who's a Harvard-trained neuroscientist. And really getting your head around this simple rule, well, it can totally change your relationship with your feelings. So, okay, let's dive into the science of it.
So, what is actually happening inside our bodies when we feel one of these powerful emotions? It's not magic. It's chemistry, pure and simple.
It really boils down to a super simple three-step process. First, something happens, that's your trigger. Second, your brain responds by releasing this flood of chemicals into your bloodstream. And third, after about 90 seconds, those chemicals get flushed out of your system and your body goes right back to how it was before. And this brings us to the most important part. And this quote from Dr. Taylor just hits the nail on the head. If that chemical reaction in our body is over and done within 90 seconds, then why do we feel angry for hours or sad for days on end? Well, the answer isn't in our body. It's in our mind. This is exactly where we get stuck. We create what's called an emotional loop. See, we don't just experience the physical feeling, we immediately start telling ourselves a story about it. Think about it this way. The 90-second surge, that's just the body's thing. It's physical, it's automatic, and it's temporary. But the mental replay? Oh, that's the story we tell ourselves. It's that little voice in our head going, how could they see that to me? Or, oh my God, what if that happens again? And here's the kicker. Every single time we replay that thought, we re-trigger the exact same chemical surge, and we start that 90-second clock all over again. And by doing that, by continuously feeding that story, we turn a fleeting 90-second chemical event into a long-term mood, or even worse, part of our identity. We go from feeling angry to being an angry person. So, the big question is, how do we break this cycle? How do we stop hitting the replay button and just let the 90 seconds be 90 seconds? Well, the great news is there are some really practical, concrete tools we can use. All right, the first and honestly the most powerful step is just awareness. Seriously, the next time you feel that surge of emotion, try this. Don't fight it. Don't judge it as good or bad. Instead, just get curious about it. Observe it. Say to yourself, okay, chemicals are being released. I've got 90 seconds here. Watch the physical sensation like a scientist watching a wave roll in and roll out. I love this way of looking at it. Emotions are just visitors. They're not permanent residents in your mind. Think about it. When we fight them or cling to them, we're basically grabbing them by the arm and begging them to stay. But if we can just acknowledge them, like, oh, hello, anger, without getting all wrapped up in it, they will eventually leave all on their own. Now, knowing all this is one thing, but putting it into practice when you're in the heat of the moment, that's a whole other ballgame, right? That's why it's so incredibly helpful to have what I like to call an emotional first aid kit, a set of tools you have ready to go before the storm hits. Here are 4 super simple but really powerful tools. First, movement. Get up and go for a walk. Let your body process what your mind can't. Second, breathing. Taking a few deep, slow breaths can literally interrupt that chemical loop. Third, journaling. Just scribble down what triggered you and then ask yourself, what else could this mean? And finally, perspective. Just remind yourself, out loud if you have to, this feeling is temporary. Okay, for those moments when your mind is just spiraling out of control, this grounding technique is an absolute lifesaver. It pulls you out of your head and plants you right back in the present moment. It's simple. Name 3 things you can see around you. Then, name 5 things you can physically feel, like the chair you're sitting on or the fabric of your shirt. And then, just take one single deep breath.
It is amazing how well this works to stop that mental replay.
Now, check out this simple but weirdly profound brain hack. When you're overwhelmed, your emotional brain screams, "I can't handle this." But try this. Switch from I to your own name. Saying, "Sarah can handle this," creates just a little bit of distance. And that tiny shift actually helps activate your brain's problem-solving center and moves you from pure feeling to thinking. You literally become your own coach in that moment. It's so cool.
When you start using these tools, something really incredible starts to happen. You create this tiny little gap, a space between the trigger and your feeling. And right there, in that space, that's where your freedom is. That's your chance to choose your response instead of just being a victim of your automatic reaction.
And that's the whole point. The goal is not to become some emotionless robot who never feels angry or sad or afraid. That's impossible. Emotional mastery is about recognizing that feelings are like waves in the ocean. You can't stop the waves from coming, but you can learn how to surf them instead of letting them drag you under.
So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. The next time that wave of emotion hits, because you know it will, what are you going to do with your 90 seconds? Are you going to hit replay on the same old story that keeps you stuck? Or are you going to breathe, observe it, and let it pass on by? Because ultimately, that's the real truth we're getting at here. You are not your anger. You're not your sadness or your fear. You are the vast, calm awareness that's capable of observing all of it. And once you really, truly get that, you'll never be controlled by your feelings again.
Momentum Lab, hit like, share and subscribe.